What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This week I'm going to be working on getting all of my bar cabinets installed. I just got these a few days ago and have already started doing a little bit of work, but we're going to go ahead and get these installed and go through the process of how I do everything. This is going to kind of be a two-part video. I'm going to get all of my base cabinets installed, and then I'm planning on making my countertops and doing a video on that. And then I'll go ahead and get these uppers placed onto the countertops and install those as well. But we'll go ahead and get the base countertops done first. Here's a drawing of what this back wall will be looking like with the two uppers sitting on the countertop, and then there'll be a couple shelves for bottles there in the middle. And then here is the other half wall with the sink and dishwasher area. So like I said, I've already started a little bit of work. Whenever I did the trim, I ended up making it a little long on purpose, and I was able to set the cabinet and the kick plate up against the wall there, and using that little oscillating tool, I was able to cut back the trim. I need to go ahead and do that on both of these corners over here as well, and go ahead and move on to the next step.
My first step was to make sure that the floor was level and didn't have any high or low spots, and then draw a reference line for how high the cabinets would be, as well as to mark out where each stud is on the wall. Measuring the distance of the studs off the corner, I was able to make a transfer line on the back of the cabinets and then make a few pilot holes for reference when I go to screw the cabinets from the inside. So I spent the next 5 to 10 minutes installing this cabinet and making sure it was as level as possible. The other 3 cabinets will be based off of this first one, so I took my time on this stage, making sure it was level both side to side and front to back.
Alright, so now that I got all this level, I'm going to take some 3-inch cabinet screws and screw into the holes that I made from the back side that I can see here. It's real snug up against the top of the wall, and there's a little bit of a gap at the bottom. So when I go to do the bottom 2 screws here, I'm actually going to use some shims and make sure it doesn't suck it into the wall too much, because that's not what we want. We need to keep it out to keep everything level. So now that we got this first one in and made sure it's level, it'll be easier getting the rest of the cabinets in, leveling off of this cabinet and screwing the sides together to pull everything real tight. So we'll move on to the next cabinet and just start working our way down the wall. So I cut all of the shims off, and I stuck another shim right there in the corner since I won't have access to that corner putting this cabinet in. But that should get me pretty close back here in the back corner, so I can level everything out. So everything's fitting up real nice and everything's leveling out. Once I screw this first screw back into the wall, and it will suck the cabinet back a little bit, it will pull this front edge together. There's just a little bit of a lip right there, but once that's pulled back, it'll pull that lip back. We'll clamp the front together, and then we'll throw some screws on the front face plates to pull those tight.
Once the face plates were even and clamped together, I used a countersink and pilot hole bit on the top, middle, and bottom area of the face plate, and then used some 2.5-inch screws to secure them together.
So here's that edge after screwing them together. That's what the screws will look like after they're countersunk a little bit in there. Hardly notice them. So it pulls that face together. So something I learned the hard way, be sure you go ahead and lay out all your cabinets to make sure everything fits in between your walls. I went ahead and attached those 2, and I was going to put this one, the third one, in, and I wanted to make sure everything would fit, so I threw the 4th one in there as well, and it was about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, almost 1/2 inch too tight. I ended up shaving off almost the entire side of that stile there. Compared to, you can see there's quite a bit of a ledge on that side. But anyways, it still didn't fit. So I took apart what I had done already over there and ended up shaving down that side a little bit. So as you can see, there was a little bit of hand planing that I had to do.
From here, it was just a matter of installing the last two cabinets, making sure everything was level by putting shims under all four corners, screwing together the face plates, and screwing them into the wall. The last thing to do for this back wall was to install the doors and drawers.
So there is the back wall of cabinets completely installed. We'll get the countertops going and then get the uppers here eventually. Next we have this little cabinet that I'll be putting in that corner, and then our sink cabinet's going to go right there in front of everything. I'm going to have to move that outlet up about 6 inches because it's a little too low. So I'll get that done, cut my holes out of the back side of that cabinet, and get everything mounted on my short wall. So I just cut a hole there to allow for an old workbox to be cut into the back side of the cabinet here and to butt up against the wall and still have room for the prongs to grab on the back side of the cabinet. So pretty easy fix, and it should work just fine down here. I marked over 24 5/8 to give me 24 inches for my opening for my dishwasher, which will also allow for the 1/4 inch edges there on the cabinets. So I drew out where the cabinet's going to be on the wall, and I also came down to my pipes here and put a vertical and horizontal line in the centers of where those are at. I'll be able to measure off of those and then put the corresponding measurements there on the back of my cabinet, and I'll be able to use a Forstner bit right there and a hole saw to be able to cut everything out and properly fit up the cabinet to the wall.
After marking my measurements, I drilled a few pilot holes and cut everything out.
Alright, so if you're happy with the cuts that you made, it is time to go ahead and slide the cabinet back up against the wall there and see if everything fits. Alright, so everything fit in there pretty good. I got plenty of room to make my connections, and my cabinet is right on my line over here where it should be. So here is inside the cabinet. I installed an old workbox for the electrical. Come around to the back side. Sticks out a little bit like that, with our little flanges holding it in. That should butt right up into that hole there. We'll run our wire through before we back everything up, and we'll go ahead and secure everything to the wall then.
The only difference with this cabinet was having to make sure that it was level across the gap for the dishwasher. So to do that, I just used my 4-foot level across that gap.
So we got everything installed. Here's just a quick walkthrough of what the cabinets look like in here. The dishwasher here, got the 24-inch opening for that. And then here is the sink cabinet. Got everything lined up in there, as well as the outlet moved. Alright guys, so that is it for the cabinet install. With most things down here, that's the first time I've done anything like that, installing multiple cabinets. But it went pretty easy as long as you take your time and make sure everything's level. It really wasn't that hard to do. So I hope this video helped you out for some of you guys looking to do this in your own home. The next step from here is to build the countertops and get those installed. I'm actually going to be making my own and coating them with some metallic epoxies, and that should give it a marble look, and it's going to be a lot less money than what actual stone countertops would cost. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys soon.